Okay, so the scene starts off with Claire and Jim running away from the goblins in the woods, and Claire over here is completely confused. She don't know what's going on. She's just been dragged out of her house and now she has to run away from like 100 mini cats and gnats. If I saw this, I'll be shook too. I don't even know why it's a mini cats and gnats. They about the same size. Jim then leaves Claire to go find a weapon, and one of the goblins pull up on her, insanely geeked. It tries to jump at her, but Jim pulls up just in time, sorting it away. One then attacks from above. Jim hits a home run, kicks another one away, but gets grabbed by the face. Gave me insane PTSD of the face huggers in Alien. Couldn't sleep that night after watching it. But Claire grabs the bat, hits the goblin with a 4-piece. The goblin slaps the bat over her hand, so she hits it with a mean left. Had that boy completely slumped. And this right here made me lose all respect for the goblins. They were meant to be tough, the real YNs of the series, just to get knocked out like Nate Robinson by a girl who's never thrown a punch in her life. Damn. Jim then throws away the goblin, pulls out his amulet trying to transform, but peeps that whole time it was fake. I knew it. Strickler done switched it out during their fight. He then throws the fake away, picks back up the bat from Claire. She picks up some rocks and they get ready to squabble. One of the goblins jumps on Jim's back, scratches him, jumps off, pulls his leg, and another one pulls him down to the floor. And Claire over here has to come save her man. She throws a rock at one of the goblins and Jim hits the other with a left hook, getting back up. They then get surrounded, and like Megami calling for Maharaga every time he gets in trouble, Jim starts calling for the amulet, and it starts to react to his call in Strickler's hands, swinging him around and blasting through the ceiling. The amulet locks onto Jim, slaps Steve on his bike for no reason, pure love of the game, and then flies over to Jim. A bunch of goblins then jump on him, but the amulet pulls up just in time, flying into his hands. He hits the incantation, and this right here is top 5 scenes in the whole series for me, no debate. Even the transformation is tough. Just look how he looks at Claire. He knows he's aura farming. He hits the superhero landing and gets straight to cooking. He's over here hitting flash steps on the goblins. We have never seen him do this. Hoes get around and suddenly guys start pulling out crazy moves from their bags. He eventually takes out all the goblins and Claire pulls up on him, all mesmerized. Over here touching his chest in complete awe. And all I can say is, where's the ref? He knows what he's doing. How can guys compete with this? He's got glowing armor and a sword made out of daylight. I got a fake lightsaber from Disneyland. Take it or leave it.
What more do you want from me?
Anyways, Claire then realizes that the letter Jim gave to her was not fake at all, and unlike Robin vs Slade, the monsters he was fighting were not a mental battle. He was real life boxing trolls. Jim then says he's gonna explain everything to her later, but as soon as they're about to leave, they start to hear some whistling, and Jim immediately knows who it is, telling Claire to go home, and she's over here saying she's not leaving, but Nomura jumps down. Claire sees her face and immediately hits the dash, and I won't even blame her. Nomura had me shook while I was watching this as a kid. Easily the scariest troll, and the whistling stuff does not help. Has me feeling like I'm watching a horror every time she does it. Anyways, now that Claire's gone, Nomura and Jim get straight to squabbling. They clash, Jim pushes her back, weave, and he runs up the tree, jumping off it, lands and throws his sword at Nomura, but she blocks it and it hits the tree. And Jim over here turns into Jin Woo, re-equipping his sword back into his hand. They then charge back in and the squabbles start again. And while this is happening, Claire finally makes it back to her house and tells her dad to come help Jim. Now I know damn well you didn't call this average middle-aged man to come fight a troll with 2 swords. She must be trying to get her dad murked, cause there's no way she thought this was a good idea. Anywho, Toby and Ark also start pulling up to the scene after hearing Jim fighting. We then cut back to the fight. Nomura jumps out of a tree, they clash, and she just starts spamming the same move. Out here looking like the average brawler player. I can't even play the game anymore, purely because of how insanely enraged it makes me. Jim then goes in for the sweep. Nomura backflips to dodge it and hits him away, and she gon' come in with the fly kick of destruction, hitting him into a tree and causing him to de-transform. She then knocks Jim out and starts dragging him back to their base, cause he's the only one that can open up Killerhead Bridge. But Claire and her dad pull up. She gets ready to attack, but Arg and Toby also pull up, so she decides to leave cause she knows she can't handle that tank Arg. And I just realized she was getting ready to absolutely slime out Claire and her dad. Damn, Nomura might really be a goon. So they take care of Jim, bringing him to a hospital, and we cut over to Blinky as he's finally found Killerhead Bridge inside the museum. And just as he's made this discovery, he gets captured by Bular and Strickler, saying that now they have a hostage. Jim is forced to open up the bridge. We then fast forward to the next day to see Jim and Toby in the hospital with a voicemail from Blinky saying that if they want to see their friend again, Jim's gonna have to meet Strickler at the alleyway by the theater by himself so he can open up Killerhead Bridge. Toby then gives Jim the amulet that he dropped, and Jim's mom pulls up in the room. She tells Toby to leave and asks Jim what really happened in the woods, and bro has to be the worst liar, saying that they thought Claire's little brother was crying in the woods, so they ran in to help him and suddenly got attacked by a pack of coyotes. I don't know what bro was thinking when he came up with this. Could have said you thought you saw a dragon out there and it would have been 10 times more believable. So Jim's mum clocks his tea calling cap, giving him back the letter he gave to her, saying that whatever he wanted to say in the letter he can say it to her face to face. But he doesn't even say anything, so she just leaves the room calling him Mr. Lake. Damn, that's how you know she's mad. African parents don't even be putting this one out no more, cause they know they about to be saying the longest name in history, talking about some Mr. We then fast forward to Jim pulling up to the alleyway to meet with Strickler. The leader Goblin makes sure the amulet's real and they pull up to the museum. And Blinky's over here glazing Jim, saying that he's a well-trained troll hunter and he's smart enough to know not to come through. But he eats his words literally 4 seconds later as Jim walks through the door. And like Magic and D-Wade realizing their son is not going to the league, Blinky was heavily disappointed, saying that Jim should have risked the life of the whole world just for his. That's W humbleness. Bular then tells Jim to walk up the steps and put the amulet inside the bridge before he turns Blinky into Jiraiya. He then makes it to the top, and as he's about to put the amulet inside the bridge, his Toby tracker goes off and Toby, Arg and Draal pop up out the cart ready to squabble. Toby hits his playlist, starts playing Leve by accident, only real men listen to that, but switches it to heavy metal and they charge into fight. And Draal over here instantly rushes over to Bular. Bro was itching for the fair one. Bro's been waiting to get his get back for his father. Arg goes for Nomura and not Enrique over here instantly flips side, punching one of the goblins. Type of guy you'll see wearing 2 jerseys to a game, taking off the first one just in case his team starts to lose. But Strickler kicks him away, so Toby pulls up, taking out his whole future bloodline, had them flashing before his very eyes. Jim then tells Toby to take care of Blinky, so Arg folds him up and he starts cutting the rope. We then go over to Arg fighting Nomura, and because he's a pacifist, he's just over here running away. Weave, she jumps free, kicks him back, jumps over him, weave again, and he starts blocking every attack. Arg then sees the goblins pulling up from the other side. They both attack at the same time. Arg pulls one of the posters and somehow moves out the way in this tight corridor, causing Nomura to kill the head goblin by accident. And you know the goblins love their get back, they immediately start jumping her. And we really be downplaying Arg's IQ, especially his battle IQ. Type of guy who's street smart, but when it comes to school he can't do basic 1+1. We then go over to Jim. Strickler pulls up on him saying he's gonna teach him a lesson and they start squabbling. But Draal and Bular end up breaking the whole structure, so they take the battle onto the bridge. We go over to Toby, and the reason he's been taking this long is because he's been using the wrong side of the knife. And Jim really expected this man to be a good troll hunter. Chelsea, come on now. Bular then hits Joe with an uppercut, jumps on him, and just as he's about to murk him, Arg pulls up, pushing him out the way. They then clash heads like goats, and Bular's over here telling Arg he used to be the toughest guy on the block, now he's just a bum, and Arg starts to awaken his old ways again. We then come back to Draal, and Nomura pulls up on him, saying they should rekindle their old fling. Bro, look at the size difference. You can't F that near that dog. They start squabbling, and we cut back to Jim and Strickler. Weave, clash again, weave the spear, jumps off the bridge onto the rope, cutting it off. He then swings back, they clash, but Strickler hits a spinning back heel kick to his stomach, causing him to fall down. And bro gon' pull up on him, grab his hand, and force him to pull out his own amulet. They deadass used to be their favorite teacher and student. The switch up is insane. This is Optimus Prime and Megatron levels of friends to enemies. Strickler then pulls Jim over and forces him to put the amulet inside the bridge, causing the bridge to open up the portal into the Darklands. The bridge starts to suck everyone in, pause, so Non Enrique decides to take it into his own hands to close the bridge. He pulls up to the amulet trying to pull it out, but it rejects him, sending him flying away. And Draal peeps this and decides to do it himself, throwing Nomura away and climbing up to the amulet. He starts to pull the amulet out. Nomura jumps on him but ends up getting flung off and sucked into the Darklands. Draal eventually pulls out the amulet, causing a massive explosion. The rubble clears, Jim runs over to him and we see that his arm is completely cooked and it breaks apart in stone. But hey, at least he's still alive and he gets a new arm later on, turning him into Conquest. But Bular pulls up out the rubble, mad as hell. His dad was finally about to come back with the milk, so the squad instantly jump down into the sewers to run away. They about to see Mbappe and Felix Phyllis down there. Big fan, man. And as they're swimming down, Arg ends up catching everyone and they just about miss Jim. He crashes into a railing and Bular pulls up, smashing him through into a canal. Jim then climbs up onto the bridge, but Bular's already there, pulling up behind him like he's Obito. And Jim just about manages to transform before Bular keeps him into the wall. And this kick right here would have ended the whole show if Jim didn't transform in time. Would have looked like what Hulk did to Abomination. Jim then pulls out his sword and they get straight to squabbling. They clash again, Bular kicks Jim back and Jim starts to run away into the sunlight. But Bular swings over, they clash, weave again, and Jim runs up his whole body, slashes him in the back and disappears. Jim then pulls up behind him, but Bular uses his spidey sense, grabbing him by the arm. He goes to cut him, Jim weaves it, kicks him in the face, re-equips his blade and slashes him in the chest. And Bular's now over here mad as hell. He was just trying to play on the same court as his dad. He charges in, they clash and Jim starts to stumble back. He then weaves a second attack running away but is about to fall into the canal, so he uses his sword to hold him up. Bular then pulls up on him, so Jim just decides to let go, falling into the canal. But Bular grabs him just in time, slamming him into the wall, and bro just starts talking crazy to him, talking about some
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
The rest of the squad then come out the canal, and Bular says they're just on time to watch their troll hunter die. But Jim tells him he's not a troll. He takes off his armor, slipping through his hands, puts his armor back on, places his hand on Bular's chest, and equips his sword inside of him. Pause. And Bular's over here like,
Oh no, this can't be.
and he starts to turn into stone and ends up falling into the canal. And like guys, after seeing their homeboy get rejected, the squad immediately pull up to the bridge celebrating, with Draal thanking Jim for avenging his father. But out of nowhere, Bular pulls up out the cot, somehow still alive, going to attack Toby. But Art grabs his arm and breaks his oath, punching Bular in the face, completely destroying him. And this right here is the official end of Bular. They even gave Jim the name Jim the Bular Slayer. You can't even say that's not tough. Anyways, this is now the end of the vid. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. All glory to God, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.